are love, we are light. Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, we are love, we are light. We are love. We are light.
Thank you, Rebecca. We are delighted to have you with us this morning and bringing your wonderful, unique talent. She really blessed us at the Prayer Chaplains Retreat, 2 weeks ago? Time flies when you don't know what you're doing. Anyway, she gave us a lovely 45-minute sound bath meditation. So it was wonderful, and we're delighted to have you with us this morning. Thanks for coming. Well, welcome to almost Halloween. You can tell because I'm wearing my traditional Halloween shirt. Yes, I can actually drive a stick. No. So if you plan ahead next year, you can come in a Halloween outfit just before Halloween. You are allowed to do that as well. So welcome. We're glad you're here. Welcome back, Lisa. We've missed you. We're glad you are healing and present. Welcome, Derek. I haven't seen you for a long time, and it's lovely to have you here. Welcome to each one of you. We're delighted that you chose to be here this morning and grace us with your presence. All right, I invite you to join in Unity's statement of faith. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And our prayer chaplain for today is Donald.
Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place.
As we settle into this time of prayer, breathe in slowly, dropping down into your heart space. Breathe out love for yourself, for all people, and for our Mother Earth. We are lighted beings of love. We are here to live and learn love. We see, reflect, and share love all around us. We know the challenges of daily activities can cause us to be unfocused. When we feel disorientated, we stop and realign ourselves with the loving strength of spirit. We are one with divine, filled with positive energy and joyful vitality. Each of us is a ray of light, clear and essential to the whole, and yet utterly dependent of spirit. Let us honor every living thing and work together for the divine blessings of good for all. This morning we walk the path of hope and discover joy in every moment we breathe. Our hearts are open with kindness and compassion. We give thanks for the blessings in our lives and pay it forward. So it is. Amen.
be where you are. Find the flower in it all, the bloom and the blossom. Rest in the beauty of eyes open to see. Be where you are. Find the flower in it all, the bloom and the blossom. Rest in the beauty of eyes open to see. Are your eyes open to see? The bloom and the blossom. Rest in the beauty of eyes open to see. Be where you are. Find the flower in it all, the bloom and the blossom. Rest in the beauty of eyes open to see. Let your eyes be open to see.
Well, there's a talk for you. Be where you are. It would be interesting to me, and I'm not going to do it, to walk around and say, where are you this morning? Where's your energy? Where are your thoughts? What are you focused on? It's interesting to me to talk about the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and talk about them in a spiritual sense. And Lori, the good news and the bad news is whatever you teach, you get to experience. So write that down. Don't teach lessons that you don't want to have happening in your own life. Amen. So one of the things that I'm going to tell you, quote, about myself for a moment is yesterday, it was 61 years since I first got married. So talking about this 8th step, which, by the way, says, made a list of all the persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. So if you happen to have any exes in your life, and if you happen to reflect on the time you have spent with them, it's interesting to look at it from not exactly their point of view, but we all have the drama points of our former relationships. My drama point would be when my former husband was choking me and our 6-year-old daughter stopped him. However, there's always another question. What led to that event? And was I completely harmless in that event? No, not exactly. Now, did I do anything worth being killed for? No. But I still did some things that obviously hurt and offended him. We've all, I'm guessing, whether you have former husbands or wives or partners or long-term partnerships, or add in any kind of relationship that you have had, I'm guessing that all of us, when we reflect on those, while we certainly remember big events, don't spend a lot of time thinking about all of the teeny tiny events that led up to the big events. And it's interesting because periodically, so we work with 3 books, but primarily with 2 books. And Kasl and Rohr don't always agree. And this is one of the steps that there is kind of a big deal difference in what they say. And I'm going to read them again to you. So Rohr works straight from the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, made a list of all the persons we have harmed, and became willing to make amends to them all. Kasl says it differently. We make a list of people we have harmed and people who have harmed us, and take steps to clear our negative energy by making amends and sharing our grievances in a respectful way. So I'm pretty sure you can hear the difference in those 2. Rohr is just inviting us to take a look at our own past. She also is including how other people have harmed us. And what Rohr is saying is that we have to clean up our own stuff first. And that until we sit and talk about whatever it is, now my first husband, Roger, is still alive, but he won't talk to me, so I can't talk to him. However, I have talked to my second husband, Craig, and we have done some of this. We have cleared that up. Sometimes it's possible for us to actually talk to people, and obviously I've picked former husbands just because of where it hit me on this particular day, since my anniversary was yesterday. Well, an anniversary was yesterday. And yet, imagine all of your relationships, all the people you've worked with, all of the friends that you have had, and of course, there is the elephant in the room, all of your family members, the ones you agree with and the ones that you don't. When you think about making a list of all the people, it says harmed, but I'm going to say have hurt. Seems it's another way of saying the same thing, and yet, you know how many times our words hurt other people. So I'm guessing that all of us could get a notebook and fill many pages in that notebook. And why do we want to do that? It's not necessary in our lives that we do that, but as spiritual people intending transformation, intending to learn and grow, one of the ways we grow is by reviewing. You can call this a life review. There are lots of words we can put in there to change the energy of this. In doing it, we become more spiritually mature. This isn't a requirement. We don't have to do this. But becoming more spiritually mature is part of our work as unity people, as transformational, as becoming spiritually mature, whatever our spiritual path is. You know, lots of the scriptures that go with this, you know, Romans 2:1, in judging others you condemn yourself, since you behave no differently than those you judge. Ooh. Or Matthew 25:23 and 24. If you are bringing your gift to the altar and there you remember that your brother or sister has anything against you, go first and be reconciled to him or her, and then come back and present your gifts. And then there's the wisdom of Solomon. You know, as a young Southern Baptist girl, one of the ways we amused ourselves in our endless church services was by reading the book, either the Wisdom of Solomon or the Songs of Solomon. Have any of you read that? It's a bit racy, guys. It's love songs, and it has interesting language in it if you're a teenager and you want to amuse yourself on a Sunday, Wednesday night, Friday night, whatever our church days were. So this Wisdom of Solomon isn't that. The other thing is it's called the Wisdom of Solomon and the Songs of Solomon. In some Bible editions, there are only 8 chapters. They totally retracted or took out the rest of the chapters. They aren't there. But this happens to be chapter 12, which isn't in a lot of Bibles, verse 2. This says, little by little, you correct those who have offended you, so that they can abstain from evil and learn to trust in God. That's fascinating to me. You correct those who have offended you. If I were translating that into modern talk, I would say, you sit down and talk to them about it. So there's another branch we can look at. Who do you need to sit down and talk to? And what do you need to talk about so that the air is clear? So that you can move forward and create what you want to create together. The universal principle that applies to all this mostly comes from Ken Wilber's work, if any of you are familiar with that, or from spiral dynamics, and it's called Transcend and Include. Transcend means we move beyond it. Include means just what you think it means. We have to include everything. There aren't any ... except for. Include everything to move forward, to grow, to learn. And it's a pesky part of the 12 steps for folks who are involved in 12-step groups. And it's certainly a pesky part of it for us who are just looking at it from how do we apply 12 steps to our own life. When we move to higher states of love and transformation, we don't jump over the earlier stages. We must go back and rectify the earlier wrongs, otherwise there will be no healing or open future for us or for those we have hurt. How do we make it right? Who do we need to find? You know, Opal and Penny, some of you go back a long, many years with this church. You know, if you were to think over just the church history, not your personal history, who would you have to find? Who would you have to make amends to? Who would you work with? Many of us are unconscious of the ways we have hurt others. We didn't really mean to hurt anyone. One of the pesky things is how you hear does not necessarily reflect what someone meant when they said something. Goes both ways. So stopping to think about our own behavior often shows us how we have felt powerless. If we can't even control what we do and think and feel, we tend to blame other people. It's not my fault. Wanda, Eustaine, Penny said, and you fill in the blank. But without checking with Wanda, Eustaine, or Penny to see if we heard them correctly, if we understood what they really meant, we're at a loss. There's a rift, and we don't know how to fix it. The interesting thing is we've been taught, no matter what form of Christianity you grew up in, that God fully forgives us. But the karma of our mistakes remain, and we have to go back and repair the bonds that we have broken. Otherwise, perhaps other people can't possibly forgive us because they don't even know what for. There's an interesting quote in Rohr's book. A man named Edward Tick wrote a book called War and the Soul. And what it's talking about is the Vietnam era soldiers who were had a lot of post-traumatic stress. And the only way that they could cure that stress was to go back to Vietnam and work for the orphans and the handicapped. That helped free them. It wasn't so much that their help was different from anyone else's help, but it was a way of making amends. I'm here because, and it doesn't matter if the Vietnamese people ever heard those reasons, we don't forgive others for them. We forgive for ourselves. One of the illustrations that I have used for forgiveness is if you imagine a backpack. My granddaughter Trinity wears one in front and one in back. The in front one has all of her volleyball stuff in for every day, and the in back one has all of her books. I couldn't even pick up both of those at the same time. But if you imagine a backpack that you put a rock in, could be little rocks, could be big rocks, every time there's something that needs to be forgiven. And here we sit 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years later. How many rocks are in your backpack? What are you carrying around with you? What would it bless you to release? The interesting part is, even though, quote, God forgives all, the energy of our spirits don't necessarily forgive that quickly. And we talk about the energy in the room. The prayer chaplains had a lovely experience. We had lovely energy. There was lovely, and some of them talked about the energy in their own churches were not as positive. And I'm guessing there are people who can walk into this room and feel energy that could be negative or positive. But the energy isn't the building. The energy is what we create in it. Rebecca just sang about love. If we want an energy of love in this room, we're the ones that get to create it. We're the ones that can fix it. So I have another personal story that is part of this past week. So most of you know that I went back to Cincinnati to New Thought Unity Center to celebrate their 125th anniversary. And most of you know that I was fired. So the name of the talk, which you can find on Facebook Live, New Thought Unity Center from last week with music, great music, and the name of the talk for the Sunday was Forgiving the Past and Creating the Future. So I went with Pat Williamson, whom I shared that job with for 6 years. I was there 11. And you can guess that I had forgiving the past, and he had creating the future in terms of the talk. So I did a meditation on forgiveness, which fit perfectly with this 8th step that I was working on. And, there's a big platform there. It seats 450 people. There were about 100 people in the room, which is the most that's been there since the day that fired me. But I stepped onto the platform and I said, there's an elephant in this room. Some of you may see a pink elephant, some of you may see a gray elephant. And the elephant is, my name is Doris, and I was fired. And there were sounds, thank you, sounds in the room. And I said, you have got to get over it. I have gotten over it. I forgive you. Please forgive me for any way that I failed to meet your expectations as a minister. And the rest of the talk was kind of like that. And I was described as very brave. But you guys know me at a different period in my life. I am not particularly trying to impress anybody anymore. After church, a woman who had been my personal friend, who led the pickets outside the church and the news cameras, who had asked me to forgive her on that day, and I had said, I haven't forgiven you yet. I specifically went up to her and told her that I forgave her. And then another woman, who I had always also considered my friend, came up to me and said, I have to talk to you. Now you have to remember there were dozens of people around, and she said, no, by yourself. I said, okay, as soon as I can, I will. So, when we had a chance to be alone, she said, I need to tell you what happened the day of the vote. Okay. She was a woman who always rode her bicycle to church. And she said, I'm obviously paraphrasing, on the day of the vote, I wasn't even going to come to church. I didn't want to see the drama, and I honestly wasn't attached much to whether you stayed or whether you got fired. So I wasn't coming. And then right about the time it was all starting, I felt guided. Listen to your guidance always, to come and vote. I got there late. I was the last person in the room. And the vote was 71 to 70. She said, I'm the person that got you fired. And what I said to her was, it's okay. I forgive you. We can't call it divine order when we like it, and something else when we don't like it. We can choose to be victims. Oh my God, poor me. Or we can choose to know that everything that happens in the universe happens for a reason. It's our job to figure it out. Why? How? How did I create this? Why did I need this in my life? Now, did I like getting fired? No. Could I have forgiven her the day that happened? I don't know. I might have punched her on that day. However, how long do you want to drag those rocks with you in your knapsack? How long do you want to be weighted down by them? When I was a minister here in the 90s, I was part of the interfaith ministerial group. And some of you may remember what happened at Columbine High School in April 1999. The minister whose church was across the street was part of my interfaith group. And he talked to us less than a month. We met after that happening. And he said something that I have never forgotten. His name was Don Marxenhausen. He's a Lutheran pastor. Forgiveness is giving up all hope for a different past. Forgiveness is giving up all hope for a different past. We can't change the past. We don't come equipped with magic wands. Byron Katie, loving what is, teach you that whatever happened, happened, and we are at peace with it. By the way, guess who's he was quoting? I've always thought all these years that was probably some profound person. It's a Lily Tomlin quote. Genuine apologies don't come easily. They require integration, awareness, and the patience to look at our own actions. Not with judgment, not with a cat of nine tails. We do that to ourselves too much already. But just with awareness. How did this happen? What should I have learned from that? I can't tell you the list of lessons I've learned from being fired. I was fired in 2011. Since then, I've been on the board. Since then, I've been chair of Unity Worldwide Ministries, on and on and on. It did not ruin my life to be fired. I only thought my life was ruined because I was fired. Jesus taught us forgiveness. He showed us the way that we can learn from different situations, a path of self-surrender and forgiveness. If I have refused or withheld forgiveness from anyone who hurt me, I am refusing to forgive myself. I may have felt angry, hurt, sad, disappointed, alone. But I have to let go of the belief that anyone or anything can cause me lasting harm. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt like hell when it happens. It doesn't mean you aren't supposed to react however you reacted. But it does mean you got to get over it. And the only way for any of us to get over it is to work with it and figure it out. Forgiveness never, ever, ever means condoning inappropriate actions. Roger choking me was not an okay thing. My daughter saving me, my 6-year-old daughter saving me, also has a lot of baggage around all of that, as you can imagine. We don't condone an inappropriate action, but we remember that it's in the past and we can let it go through the power of divine love. Our egoic self is never going to get over it, but our heart can. Divine love is stronger than anything that might appear to stand in its ways. There's a quote from Matthew 6:12 that some of you will recognize. You may read it, "Forgive us our debts." Some of you may read it, "Forgive us our trespasses, as we also have forgiven our debtors or those who trespassed against us." Some of you may have called that the Lord's Prayer. Some of you may have called it the Our Father. And some of us have said that prayer thousands and thousands of times in our life. Forgiveness is something that we have to practice, something we have to release, something we have to let go of. So I simply invite you in this moment to take a deep breath. I see some of you putting your feet on the floor. That's always a good move too. And simply breathe. Noticing the rise and fall of your chest, which happens automatically. We can choose a deeper breath or a shallower breath, but the breath is part of life. We can notice our heart beating, and it will keep beating until the day it doesn't. We are here, we are alive. We are growing and we are learning over and over and over again. There are periods of time in our life where we choose to grow consciously. There are times in our life when it seems that the universe whaps us with a 2x4, and it's harder to grow. The one thing we always get to control is how we respond to every situation we're in. And I'm here to tell you that no one does it perfectly. God knows I don't do it perfectly. Our human selves respond as our human self responds. Our conscious divine self chooses how it will respond. That choice is always ours. And perhaps in the past, when we might have chosen differently, we didn't. But today and every today thereafter, we get to choose again, and choose again, and choose again. Simply notice the places that hurt from your past. Notice if there's a way to alleviate that hurt by making amends or by forgiving. Sometimes it requires both. So I invite you to sit in the silence longer than we usually sit, and simply notice what comes up for you. We begin by being gentle with ourselves, reminding each other to not judge ourselves. Reminding ourselves to not judge others. Reminding ourselves that we choose the way of love. And as each of us heals the energy of our own hearts, we help to heal the energy of our world. and in our choice to send out love to the entire world, to every human on this planet. We remember it begins by loving ourselves first. For the wonderful examples of this world, for all of those who have forgiven horrendous wrongs. The Amish in Pennsylvania. The parents who have forgiven those who shot their children. All of the amazing examples in this world. We know that we too have the power to forgive. And for that we are grateful. And we simply say thank you. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia. We are one now, we are one now, we are one now, alleluia.
So this is the part in our service where we choose to share of our abundance so that Unity on the Avenue continues to exist and continues to bless the world. So we are grateful for all the gifts we receive. They come in so many different ways. We are blessed by our new roof. We are blessed by our new fascia, our new paint job. We are blessed by our swamp cooler. We are blessed by the furnace repair over at Unity House so that it can be warm. We just continue to be blessed, and we thank you as the source of all of our blessings. So I invite you to repeat with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
All that we know, all we are, we've been taught is so bizarre. Dependent on another force, when all along we've been the source. Who would you be if you knew who you really were? How would you feel if you could trust your own worth? What if you could shine the only way you shine and help the world come alive? Like letting go of the hands that feed them. Children, get ready for more freedom. Open to a different way where you always know you're okay. Who would you be if you knew who you really were? How would you feel if you could trust your own worth? What if you could shine the only way you shine and help the world come alive? Ooh, who would you be if you knew who you really were? How would you feel if you could trust your own worth? What if you could shine the only way you shine and help the world, you help the world come alive? Yeah. Oh, what would it take for you to like you. I know it can be so hard to do, but what if being all of you is the world's next breakthrough? Who would you be if you knew who you really were? How would you feel if you could trust your own worth? What if you could shine, shine so bright and help the world come alive?
Thank you, Rebecca. Some days it's fun. Some days talks aren't so much fun, but I didn't pick the talk. You guys did, so okay.
That was a great talk.
Oh, thank you.
I so needed it. I don't know about anybody else, but that was the perfect talk for me today.
Oh, my goodness, thank you. All right, so we'll bless our children in absentia, seeing their beautiful pictures as they grow and change. We'll see them again someday, I know. And blessing your own inner child. So, children, you are loved, special, and important. We see you and bless the divine beings that you are. And our prayer for protection. By the way, in case you forget, look, I was gifted with a new mug. It's got my name on it. It has the prayer for they've left off the part though, but anyway. The light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Don't forget lunch downstairs. Yum.
Who would you be if you knew who you really were? How would you feel if you could trust your own worth? What if you could shine the only way you shine and help the world? You help the world come alive. Ooh, who would you be if you knew who you really were? Woo! How would you feel if you could trust your own word? What if you could shine, shine so bright?